Luminosity, do they have what it takes to 2-0? Let's take a look. Picks and bans one more time. Randozos versus LG. This will be the last game of the afternoon, so let's definitely excited to see how this one goes.
Yeah. Wonder who's going to be first pick here.
So Randozos very strong at the early and mid game. Do they use their?
I don't think they're strong at the mid game. I think they're strong at the early game.
Okay,
See,
sure.
like early game is like a lot of times like there's two things, right? There's like just pure on 2v2, 3v3 fights. Maybe one of your hunters or your soul laners out-rotates the other skirmishes, right? Mid game is like, all right, now you start to get to team fights, but you also have to think. And that's where they fall apart. Like, I'm not even like, it's just like the strategic, like, and the synergy value coming out from Randos, it just isn't there.
And
right?
I mean,
like the mid camps highlighted it perfectly. Two players doing mid camps. Aduro ults in with PolarBearMike, and Meerkat and Skeeledon are like, wait, was this a call? I don't know.
So my question to you is, if the Randozos are good in the mid game, if we can identify that the Randozos are good in the mid game, and I think you can say that objectively they are, they were definitely able to stay with Luminosity.
I think that's where they start to falter. It's like they could keep up in the early game, but the mid game is where other teams start pulling ahead of them.
Right.
They're not good at the mid game. That's their problem.
No, but the early game they are. Do they?
Oh yes.
Do they flex that? Do they stress that? Do they pick up a Thanatos do they pick up a Thanatos and an On Her and an Isis and just go ham in the early game and try to win by 15?
I think that's possible.
Is that their go-to?
But like players like that's still like players don't really want to do that. They don't want to accept that they're the bottom team because there are games where like they are competing in the early game even when they don't have this necessarily like very strong early game composition.
But there's a difference in sort of like saying, hey, we're the XYZ team of the league, and just saying recognizing where your strengths are. Denial historically has recognized themselves as an early game team and went repeatedly for 4-minute gold furies and stuff like that because they recognize, hey, this is what we're good at. I mean, if you're good at riding a bike, you don't switch to riding a motorcycle. You just stick on the bike, right?
I guess that's kind of the mentality of the team. Like, do they want to like keep playing the comps that like high tier teams are playing and like try and figure it out, or do they want to just like not play what's like very strong in that late game meta and just focus on an early game meta where it's like, are they really improving? And that's the thing. And like, I think Randozos have accepted they're the bottom, right? They're almost guaranteed to get relegated. Now, I think they can take some games off some teams at least some point in this split. I don't think we're going to see a Thirst, or worse than a Thirst, because Thirst at least won one game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll have to, I don't know. We'll have to see. Randozos they're an enigma right now.
And that's the problem for early game teams, is that the games go so late that if you pick that early game
you
roster,
gotta win.
You have to win by 15, otherwise you're definitely losing by later on. First half of the picks and bans are done, and no junglers available for Luminosity. Randozos want to make that clear, so LG go for Batz, and the core has been selected: Zeus, Khepri, Batz, and for the clowns it'll be Apollo, Bellona, Isis.
Really surprising to see Randozos ban away junglers and then not pick up a jungler in the first phase. Obviously, they want to target out kind of the Thor, andinster's bread and butter, and then hit his Naja as well, so they don't have to worry about that kind of wombo combo that LG knows how to pull off. But for them to just not pick a jungler in the first phase, especially after Luminosity drafted Batz, surprising.
Rom also banned out. So first round, Randozos say, hey, Andy, stop. And then second round, Randozos say, hey, BaRRA, stop. The late game hunters take it off the table from Randozos. And Luminosity, band spread out a little bit. Last one will be a Wheelish. So Randozos will have to go a different direction. That tells me that Luminosity kind of want to go On Her or Ho Yi.
I was thinking that too. Uller as well is a possibility. But also, a Wheelish, a very strong counter to Batz. His jump is very slow, so it actually gives you a decent amount of time, right? Like, there's fast jumps like Kali, then there's slow jumps. Like, I think the slowest is Odin.
Yeah. No, that's the slowest jump. Ho Yi's jump is, he just sits there.
He just, I mean, he's got 2 seconds to kind of make his mind up. Fenrir going to go the jungle more than likely. Bellona in the soul lane here, and Randozos looking for their support here. Who does PolarBearMike want to run? His Athena's banned out, Zobek banned away as well. Has the option for Geb.
Ymir, Ares. All right, so this trio, Isis, Fenrir, Ares, early.
Yeah.
So Randozos maybe recognizing their strengths over here.
The problem is that Luminosity also have a very good counter engage comp, right? They have, once they hit 5, right? Pre-5, they could definitely get bodied. They can definitely be bullied out by the Fenrir, especially the red pot Fenrir and Isis, who I'm assuming has gone purple pot, maybe. But the problem is that once it's 5, right, then you have to worry about fighting not only in a Zeus ult, but Fear No Evil and the Khepri revive. It's going to be best to try and pick off JeffHindla, I would imagine, in this composition, if that's what Randozos are looking for, because you can almost guarantee he won't go Purification. But look, he knows that too, so he went Purification.
Skeeledon has no relic.
I mean, he's going to back. He's just looking for a fight early on.
He'll have time. You need about 20 seconds from the base to actually make it to the buffs, so he'll be fine. Will he buy a relic?
Yeah, he's just looking to fight.
Please buy a relic. Thank you. Sank is selected for the jungler. I got very nervous. We see that sometimes from solo laners, because when you back, you can just buy teleport then, and, you know, it's...
I think DJ Pernicus is the only one so far this split that we've seen. Look at this, though. All right, Randozos are done. They're like, we're early game, boys. We're having none of this. We're invading. They actually go around any potential of wards here. PolarBearMike, no, he's going to walk right over one, though.
He's on the ward.
That would have been a perfect... Oh, yeah. They know. That would have been perfect. Like, that's such a common ward spot for teams. Like, under the mid-harpies. Like, all the time, just for this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And they can't guarantee this red, right? Like...
Will they start it?
Can we actually hover over Zeus? See if he got Chain Lightning or the shield. He got the shield. So he leveled something up early. Now they're going to get backs. But it does give Aduro pressure in the mid lane.
Nothing. Randozos get nothing.
But LG get nothing either.
Backcamps went to LG, and the pigs will be started as well. So the clowns' long lane have zero experience outside of the lane and outside of the wave, whereas Luminosity, they're going to spend their time in the jungle and intercept the wave, and that'll send Randozos over to the red buff. Okay, Randozos also invading on the blue side as well. So Luminosity spent all game invading Randozos after the first one.
Look at this, though. Rotation coming in. These players only level 1. They just hit 2 because of the finish off of the bus. And Meerkat forced to purify. He's going to dash away, but here comes BaRRa. Jumps over the wall, finds the double tap with the shell. Going to keep him alive for now. Meerkat
well played.
Will be fine, but 2 successful buff invades coming out for Randozos.
Luminosity going to be chased into their jungle again. There's the early game aggression that both of us were looking for, really. But Skeeledon slowed and just dealing with the damage. He's going to sank. No burst, just a sustained basic attacks. And a good stun from Duro will keep andinster honest.
What is going on? Like, actually, what is going on?
Nobody's getting far.
So the hardest part about this is that stuff like this rarely happens, and this really shows kind of your shot calling experience, because everyone every once in a while will be in these late game 60-minute situations. Everyone's going to be in the early game situations. Everyone's going to have like a solo laner rotate at 5 minutes, but this does not happen often. So how you move around the map and either set up for kills or focus on prioritizing the waves is very important.
Right. There's usually multiple right answers, right? There's usually, in any scenario, there's usually multiple right answers that you can look to past experiences, almost like case study, right? Like in this situation, you have to do X, Y, Z, or A, B, C. But hold that. PBM in some trouble?
He's fine.
Well, PBM dealing some trouble, rather. Jeff in some trouble. And when these oddball scenarios come out, these are the ones not in the textbook. These are the ones that you have to just sort of use game knowledge instead of experience or VOD knowledge to your advantage.
Skeeledon still level 4, though, lurking around the jungle. Those boars are about to spawn, and he knows the timer, but I think he wants a gank more than anything. Nope, he's just going to steal the piggies away. Going to be a 3-man split, so he's not going to hit 5 off of these. Still got about half a level to go.
And this is the intention of Randozos. Maybe they were listening to the broadcast. Maybe I liked what we saw out of them in Game 1. I think we saw a lot of positive notes about Randozos, and they seem to have recognized their strong point in the game against Luminosity. They said, "Hey, we almost had a lead last time. Why don't we push that?" And now this heavy aggression in the enemy jungle, whether you're looking for players, buffs, or otherwise, Randozos are stepping in the right direction and find themselves almost 1,000 up.
Skeeledon level 5 here. Purification is online for andinster, but not for the BaRRaCCuDDa. They were burned very early on after Skeeledon jumped forward, so he has about a 30-second window. I mean, this could be a guaranteed kill almost. Batz has his ult, though, and he's lurking around. He sees PolarBear rotating. Actually, PolarBear caught out 1 versus 4. Oh, he's dead. There's no way he gets out of this one.
Randozos are going to follow up on the backside BaRRaCCuDDa, but after BaRRaCCuDDa find first blood, that's going to dissuade
Holds his ult as
else.
well there. PolarBearMike knows he's dead, just accepts his fate. In Randozos, they had gained about a 500 gold lead. Oh, no, actually about 1,000. So even with first blood, Randozos still ahead. But Aduro going to fall as well. Their circle protection, trying to stay alive, but the detonate and the teleport hit from andinster, enough to lock him down.
Yeah, 2 unfortunate deaths there for Randozos. Those deaths just kind of didn't need to happen. I mean, one of them was PBM caught out And the other one was just Luminosity pushing the buttons under the
Polar Bear
tower.
caught out is one of two things. First off, lack of warding is one, but no one had really backed anytime soon, so no one had wards. Two, it was Meerkat, right? If Meerkat's staying in that lane, I'm not exactly sure if LG were coming off of spawn or not, but if Meerkat's in the lane and LG's dual lane is there, he needs to call it a PolarBearMike to like pull off. Like, all right, it's over. We can't fight this. Back away.
Meerkat by himself going to go ahead and invade the red buff. Not going to get it. Finds himself in trouble. Overhand smash and the crit.
I don't think he needed the crit there. I think that was enough damage. Really seemed like he wasn't paying attention because the monkey bounces multiple times and he's still kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't react. I'm really surprised that he actually didn't. A lot of these times, like, you don't want to just stare at a buff and stare at the wall. You kind of want to move the buff around so you have a full angle of vision so you can see if someone's rotating in from their spawn or from the mid lane. But there he kind of just was looking at a wall.
Just not there. Chains onto the monkey, so no jump coming out of Andy. There's the no escape. Ultimate's dropped, and the pull will happen onto JeffHindla. Skeeledon now looking for damage.
Oh, Jeff messed up. Jeff actually burned his purification after he got pulled. He does have this revive, but Meerkat comes crashing in. He's going to find one, looking for JeffHindla. But it's going to be Skeeledon to finish him off, and Randozos finally answer back. 2 kills on the board, looking for a third, but BaRRaCCuDDa might be able to turn this. Detonate! Double kill coming up for the BaRRaCCuDDa. 2v1, does not care. Skeeledon, it should be enough here.
Has to be.
But still, the BaRRaCCuDDa with the turnaround 1v2 in the mid lane.
I mean, that's why the man is just named after BaRRaCCuDDa. Right, just that's the sound of someone getting 2v1'd right there.
Man, I'm booshed. If I'm right now, if I'm Randozos, I'm real booshed off of that.
Feels BaRRaCCuDDa, man. Just just coming down. That's why Zeus is picked in the SPL. We mentioned it time and time again that this god is vulnerable, that he's liable to just die. Sure, but when you get ganked as a Zeus, you put the ultimate on your feet, you hit 1, and then you press 3. And either you die or they do.
That's honestly it. It's like, can they survive or can you survive? There's no, I'm going to get away from this. There's no, like, I'm going to juke them out. You are just, you either kill them or you don't.
It's just raw brawn. There's no real finesse. I mean, it's just bang. Is it enough? And that time it certainly was. Skeeledon makes the very important kill to come over the table and pick up the kill on a BaRRaCCuDDa.
BaRRaCCuDDa also finishing off Doom Orb now, starting to stack that up. So that was still, he hadn't actually even taken a trip back to the base yet, I don't believe. And now he's really going to be swinging here. And Randozos, while they got off to a good start, and they still have a gold lead.
Yep.
Actually, they still have a gold lead.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Randozos been farming a little bit better, it seems. You can see Adanas are actually 2 levels down.
Yeah, a lot of that, you know, Meerkat did get punished for it, but a lot of that lead has come from Randozos stripping away the jungle from their opposition. They need to keep finding the open windows instead of the more.
I mean, they've got both.
ones.
They've got what, two spawns with the red buff and a blue buff. So controlling more importantly, it also throws off the timers for Luminosity,
which is what we saw with mid camps. The mid camp timers were thrown off so completely that Randozos just got the first couple of groupings. Isis ultimate is online, so the Gold Fury started by Randozos might be a good one, but here comes the rotation from Snoopy in the back line. He's going to get in trouble, though, and there's the big woof woof bringing Snoopy to the teammates, and the Osiris has, ooh, there it is, just waited out the Khepri ultimate. Well done, Aduro.
I mean, that was just really awkward coming out from Snoopy. He teleports into the middle of 4 people. His team isn't in position to follow up. Obviously, he gets the Khepri ult, but a really good job from Randozos not to burst him down. Guaranteed, he has nothing to get out of Ragnarok there, so he's stuck. Skeeledon just walks him so far to the back line that the rest of LG can't follow up, and then off of that, they wait out the timer, finish him off.
If LG were a little bit more pushed up, that might have been a very good play coming out from Snoopy, and we could be singing the praises of Snoopy. So it's not so much the teleport that I'm going to put on blast as much as it is just the team being on the same page. And maybe Snoopy was on the incorrect page, right? But I wanted to see more than just the Zeus ult tossed out there willy-nilly. Like, that's kind of what, oh, they got Snoopy. Have an ult. Like, there you go. Have an ult.
Hey, man. Mid lane, BaRRaCCuDDa. just hitting level 9, so getting a little bit outformed by Aduro in experience, but gold is about the same, and that's the trouble we always see from Zeus. It's so hard to push up, especially considering what's kind of there for Randozos, right? They have the Ares, very quick purification burner. They've got Skeeledon, who could jump out of the jungle, burn your purification, and kind of put you out of position, and then, you know, you always got to worry about Meerkat as well. We've seen that him and Matt Yankee are kind of the new age Zapmans. They're not afraid to dive your backline by themselves. May not always be the best decision, but I can guarantee you they're not afraid, and they will be willing to trade themselves out 1-for-1
Very
at
much
any
so.
point.
And Meerkat's shown his proficiency on the Apollo as well. Jump in from Skeeledon, the jungler looking for the kill, not going to find it with the Brutalize.
Oh, he misses.
Can't find the bite onto Snoopy.
He's got to give this one up.
Yeah, that's that. Sorry. Skeeledon walking away with his tail between his legs.
Thankfully for him, Luminosity, TheBoosh, and andinster were still in base, so there's not going to be counter engage. Skeeledon will be lucky to save his life here, but Randozos continuing to pressure this left side. They really want to force a Gold Fury, I think. They have the Isis. Oh, andinster. Ooh. Aduro knew too. I really like that. He actually wing gust there to make sure to get bonus movement speed, so andinster cannot connect the Sacred Monkey.
And andinster's going to walk right into PBM. Dodge the chain. So important there. That'll allow the monkey to jump away if need be, but saves the jump just in case.
Do it, andinster. He's not going to do it. If Jeff moved forward, the call would have been that andinster's going in. But you can see Jeff moving back. andinster continuing to just juke everything. TheBoosh in his own jungle, and I mean, Randozos, they're just not able to connect their abilities right now.
Randozos, they had the brief opportunity to start looking at long lane. I would have liked to see a collapse onto BaRRaCCuDDa, but that's the lack of information. There's no wards that Randozos have deep in the enemy jungle, and given the strategy that Randozos have been employing so far with the invades, with their early game, I'd like to see some real deep wards so that they can catch players out in those positions.
Skeeledon trying to catch someone out. BaRRaCCuDDa going to jump
stun.
away just in time. I think that damage went through as well. I guess Skeeledon didn't have a stun from runes there. Otherwise,
fall prince.
He had to. If there was a stun and the damage connected, then we would have saw BaRRaCCuDDa fall from the sky there. Boosh just trying to force Randozos out. You could see red buff has spawned once again, and Luminosity don't want to get it stolen away for a third time.
That ability is so strong from Zeus with the Frisbee. I mean, that was the biggest change to this character, I think, that we've seen over the years, is that Zeus went from all I do is damage, all I do is damage. He got changed a couple of times to all I do is damage, and I can escape even less so, but I can do more damage. And then they gave him the Frisbee, which goes all I do is damage, and now I zone a little bit. By the way, it's still damage.
Jeff stunned out here. And Randozos still with a 2K gold lead. A lot of that coming off of the soul laners. Whalrus versus Snoopy right now. About 1,000 separated them. Snoopy had teleported into the backline, got picked off, while Whalrus was just able to just free farm in that lane, get some pressure on the tower as well, and finally secure it.
Someone pinged the Gold Fury, and it wasn't Luminosity because nobody went to head over there. Randozos have this complete circle of vision around the gold, both on it, aggressive, and defensive. So Randozos have all the vision in the world, and even with nobody on the left side of the map, Randozos well aware of it, not going for the gold. Very cautious on this objective, despite having the Isis ultimate.
I mean, it's really hard. Like, they have... Here's the thing. They're better in smaller skirmishes, right? The Fenrir, the Isis, and then, you know, chains coming up from Ares. They're very good in 2v2 and 3v3 scenarios.
Yep.
But the problem is, when it comes to, like, fighting on the Gold Fury, obviously they have the Isis to secure it.
They just get booshed.
But they get booshed. And then they got andinster on top of them, right? He's going to drop Fear No Evil. So I think they can do Gold Theory, but they need to find a pick. I don't think they can just force it 5v5 unless Luminosity have no idea it's going on. And this is what they're doing. They're looking for a pick on someone. Aduro going to front line. It's actually going to be Whalrus jumping forward, and the target is JeffHindla.
Keep in mind, andinster's on the sidelines, goes ahead, drops the Fear No Evil to
That's who they
separate the teams. Meerkat picks up Boosh. Very good look. If you're a fan of the clowns, that's going to mean the AoE damage is gone. Fear No Evil on cooldown, and Luminosity have to start thinking about defending the Gold Fury. Randozos already started.
Jeff had to go back to base as well, so they don't have the revive. There's the circle of protection. Might have been dropped early. Oh, it's actually popped early, but still, Randozos secure the Gold Fury. It was just a 2,000 lead, but now 4,000, and the game's starting to get interesting. This is a lead.
Excellently played by Randozos. They did exactly what they needed to do as a team. Big picture, draft a composition that that fits their playstyle and more specifically their strengths. And then small picture, this game specifically, they found the pick and they were able to transition it directly into the objective. Very smart play coming out from Randozos.
One of the biggest things for Randozos here as well is just kind of this this solo lane matchup where Whalrus, for the most part, has gotten the better of it, even in game 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, Snoopy recovered really well, but he almost got first blooded at level 5. But Whalrus looking much better this season than he did, honestly, last season when he was on, I believe it was Denial Esports for a little bit.
Whalrus was, and you know, maybe this is a little bit unfair to bring up, but I only bring it up because of the stark difference. Whalrus was one of, in my eyes, one of the worst players in the SPL last year. But so when he came on to saying, hey, he's going to be a part of Randozos, I was a little bit curious. This is a different player than I think we saw in Season 2 completely, and I'm really enjoying watching him play in the solo lane.
And now Randozos is going to try and push their advantage. Skeeledon, though, separated from the rest of the team. Andinster looks like he wants to focus him out, and it's just going to be pressure. And red buff, I believe, was successfully stolen once again by Meerkat. So he really likes that red buff. He's not giving it up.
I mean, Aduro is the captain. Aduro's the man. Aduro is the longtime player here. He gets the red buff. The Hunter, on the other hand, not so likely. Meerkat, if you want it, you're going to have to steal it.
And Aduro gets his own red buff there. And now, Luminosity, they're even in kills, but it's been Randozos who have had most of the momentum this game. They've had most of the pressure. They've been the one looking to force the engage, and it's been Luminosity forced to respond. Now, some big items being worked on here. Higher than a meaning finished up by Snoopy. Jotun's online for Andinster. Boots finished by TheBoosh as well. Does he have more gold? He's got about 1,200. And Heartward, once again, for JeffHindla. A little bit worried about that magical damage.
Whalrus just laying into Snoopy a little bit. Just a little bit of slap damage. Warrior v Warrior. Both of them 15 above. Nobody else even close. Fenrir actually level 14 along with Aduro.
Left-hand side, look at this grouping from Randozos. They've actually forced a lot of Luminosity into the middle, and they're going to be able to pressure this tower successfully. No way Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa can stop this. Nope. It's done. And another 500 gold in Randozos' pockets. They're going to extend their lead to about 5,000 now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Randozos leading by 5K at 15 minutes.
Oh, Skeeledon jumping forward, looking for someone, but he backs off.
Gotta be.
I mean, I fully believe Randozos are going to find a win by the end of the season, and this could be that game.
I mean, it's possible. I don't want to start singing before anyone. I don't want to say anything before anybody starts singing.
So they had this 4K lead
everything
against,
looks good.
They had this 4K lead against Eager, but it wasn't really off of them doing a lot. It was kind of off of Eager just being over-aggressive and giving up advantages they had. This really seems like Randozos have a plan going in, and they're executing it very well. Now, it's a lot slower pace than I think a high-level team would have executed it, but they are against Luminosity. You have to be a little bit cautious.
There's the gank onto Meerkat and
Beautiful.
Purification and a dash, and nobody even close to the young gun in the long lane. Meanwhile, the rest of Randozos just pushing in the mid. Tier 1 once again. Tier 2 going to be focused on here in the solo lane.
Snoopy's not that tanky right now. I mean, he's got a physical protection item and a magical protection item, but he's only level 15. And that's what a lot of the tankiness comes out of Warriors is just their base ability to not die. Teleport coming in, Tier 2 finish on the right-hand side. Whalrus going to combine with Meerkat to force Luminosity off, and all they get is a Tier 1 tower. And this is, once again, Randozos playing really well right now. 6,000 in the lead.
This is the difference. And again, I'm going out on a limb here and just... PolarBearMike is shot calling. This is the difference of a team with a shot caller and without. There's direction, there's thought process, there's objectives. Whether it's PBM or not, there's certainly a stark difference in Randozos' objective-oriented gameplay. They're looking for the same things. Like you said, there's a clear strategy and they're executing it. And the difference this week to last week and the weeks beforehand is PBM.
And now... I mean, 5-5 in kills. Goldfear are going to be spawning here in about 20 seconds. Randozos, you have to imagine that this is what they're looking for. And honestly, I think it's going to be another bait, right? Just, you can't take the 5v5s. You got to find a pick on a player, and it's almost always going to be best if it's TheBoosh. Like, if you can kill TheBoosh and force Jeff out like they did last time, right? They didn't kill Jeff, but he was so low, there was no way he could get in and help contest, even if he's with another player. But it looks like they're just going to be starting it up right now. No hesitation. No one on Luminosity, even remotely close pings come out because they recognize that Luminosity are walking around the corner, though.
Yeah, I mean, Gold Fury already down to 50%.
It's done.
Too late,
Conceded.
Executives. Gold Fury again. going the way of the clowns. 18.5 on the clock. Kills are all even, but golden XP certainly not. 7K across the board for all relevant categories. And the Randozos find themselves very much in the lead here in game number 2.
The worrying thing right now for Luminosity is the lack of experience, like player experience, or not player, excuse me, in-game experience. Left-hand side, Meerkat got to get focused, and the gank will be successful this time. No purification online for him, was baited out earlier by andinster. So he takes another trip, recognizing the timer, and now Luminosity with a man advantage. You can see them start to surge forward. This is what they do. When they find a man advantage, even if they're down in gold, they're going to force it.
And that's the second time that Meerkat has found a death by way of just being pushed up a little bit too far. No tower to fall back to, no real vision outside for Randozos, and Luminosity will get the kill for it. And like you said, just going to push towards the mid lane.
Behind.
Trying to do what he can.
BaRRaCCuDDa's coming out behind. Skeeledon jumping forward, going to find one in Ragnarok, but there's the Zeus ult on top. Skeeledon okay for now. He's reset, and here comes Whalrus.
He's going to stop BaRRaCCuDDa in his tracks, but a minion, one lonely minion, going to stop Barra from being hit by the tower, and that's ultimately going to save his life. The pull's going to grab a whole bunch, 3 in total. Barra's got Khepri ult, still pushing forward, trying to die, but he's going to die too late. Khepri ult has expired. Whalrus able to tie things up. Another kill for Randozos after Luminosity's able to find one themselves.
And the team, no hesitation. They're heading to Fire Giant. They know the BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate's down. They know Fear No Evil's down. Snoopy as well. Burned Lord of the Afterlife. Meerkat's coming down. And look at this. I mean, Circle Protection is still up. This could be free. JeffHindla, he smells it out, though. Is anyone else going to come and help protect it?
I mean, what's Khepri going to do? Throw his ball of dots at it? There's really not much. I mean, Randozos, this is a great call. They will face some adversity going forward. It's not completely free, but as long as this Isis ultimate goes the right way, and it does, Fire Giant on to Randozos. That's a 7K gold lead plus a Fire Giant at 2020 on the clock. Randozos looking like a different team this week.
This looks like a team that is executing a plan.
I mean,
game one, honestly, I think they had a better composition. Well, maybe not a composition of their strengths, but I think they had outdrafted Luminosity for the most part. But like, they just weren't doing anything, and they were not on the same page. This time, it seems once they get past that 10-minute mark and everyone's feeling themselves, they look much more comfortable as a unit and following calls.
A well-tailored suit from the department store is going to look better on you than your dad's Brooks Brothers. That's just how it is. You can get the right composition, quote, end quote, for the meta. But if you pick to your team's strategy and you pick to your team's identity, that gives you success. When was the last time Paradigm looked at a tier list that everybody agreed with? It just doesn't happen.
Hey man, Sun Wukong.
But they're number 2 in Europe, and they pick Bracken. You got to play what your team plays well with, and Randozos have finally identified that.
Game not over just yet, though. Luminosity, the kings of comebacks. If you remember Cloud9 versus Epsilon, Game 1 at Worlds. They were down kind of in about the same situation, but able to split the map successfully and come back. And if there's one team you can ever count out, it's LG,
you can
right?
never count out, right?
You can just never count out, right?
If there's one team you just always count out,
no. It's andinster and BaRRaCCuDDa.
Right.
JeffHindla as well in that support role. Now, obviously, they have 2 new players in TheBoosh and Snoopy, but still, very talented squad members. And Snoopy, where I think he's been suffering in the landing phase, his team fights have been fine. They've been exactly as LG kind of expects of him.
Luminosity not even looking at the towers. Randozos able to split up, take both. That's going to put them over the 5-digit mark. 11K in the coffers of the Clowns. And now they group up, they being the red team Randozos, looking towards the left side, Phoenix specifically. All 5 members here. Well, it's a 4-1, both junglers in the mid, the rest of the team on the left. And he's able to push out.
BaRRaCCuDDa, Soul Reaver online, but it's already been procced. Randozos successfully able to bait that. Very important. Not going to be online for another 45 seconds, so his damage not going to be as much burst here. JeffHindla, oh no, actually PolarBearMike going to blink forward, trying to force out some relics. He does get some, and now it's LG in the back line trying to follow up. BaRRaCCuDDa throws out Suns, but I mean Randozos, they're just resetting.
Yeah, Isis ult was burned probably a little bit too soon, and Luminosity recognized that. Randozos don't have a lot of tools. Whalrus is going to be the sacrificial lamb, jumping into 5, turning and taunting Luminosity onto him, and then is still able to find a way out. Luminosity had activated Sprint looking for the chase down. Whalrus jumps in, draws the attention of everybody, and successfully saves the team and doesn't even trade out for it.
Fear No Evil still available. Luminosity
That's big.
on their back line, but they still have They still have the Party Monkey here, and now Meerkat just going to be splitting up the team. And it's very hard for Randozos to break this base as well. They've burned a lot of their ultimates, and it's BaRRaCCuDDa here in the mid lane. That's a lot of damage coming out from him, and I feel like Randozos are a little bit scared. They're a little bit timid, and they're going to back off, strip the jungle, and take the Gold Fury.
This is the right call as well, Kevin. With both Fear No Evil and the revive out of Khepri still available, those are probably those are much more valuable than BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate and Snoopy's ultimate. BooSh's ultimate is going to do what the Suns do, right? But with Fear No Evil and JeffHindla's ultimate up, you got to watch out for that. Randozos make the right call. They don't just try to siege without the right tools. They pick up another Gold Fury, putting themselves even further in the lead. I like that call.
12,300 gold now, or excuse me, 800 gold now after that one. About to break into the 13K mark. 10,000 experience as well. Luminosity still no 20s on the board, so that experience lead is very important. You could see Whalrus, Meerkat, the only level 20s in the game. Skeeledon, and PolarBearMike still trying to catch up. And
that aggressive ward coverage now coming out. You can see 3 wards on the left side. They're just starting to fade, so Randozos will have to pick them back up. And it's actually just pinged. The right side deep ward that Randozos have, they're pinging it out as well. Randozos now pinging the ward spots that they want to redo. And they'll pay attention to the enemy jungle very, very carefully to see where they can exert their pressure and where they can exert their force specifically.
Fire Giant going to be spawning in 30 seconds. You have to imagine Randozos are going to force this. Luminosity, though, the question is,
yeah, this is.
Do they defend on their Phoenixes, or do they try and take a fight at the Fire Giant? I have to imagine they're going to concede Fire Giant, especially considering the Randozos were kind of forced back in that last instance as well. And you can already see andinster. He's just split pushing, and this is entirely just to get experience so he can finish off Deathbringer.
Yep.
So he's going to have a better fight come the time they defend Phoenixes. You see this a lot from Luminosity, right? They'll concede an objective, but because one team is like always grouped to one side, they can just have a single player who they need to kind of show up in the next team fight, free farm, and get that item.
You know, anytime I have a Hun Batz, I was saying it before with the torpedo game when Bobat was playing the monkey. Anytime there's a Hun Batz, I think that picks and turnaround team fights, despite the giant deficit, are possible. I would have liked to see Andy and BaRRaCCuDDa show up.
It's not worth the risk there, because you basically have to get, especially if it's only 2, right? It's even if you steal it away, what's almost guaranteed to happen is a couple players are being picked off, and it is much harder to defend with 3 or 4 members with Fire Giant against 5 members without than it is to just take the 5v5 fight and allow the other team to have FG.
Well, my thought process is Andy just max range drops, however far, it's not that long of a range, but both ultimates come out from max range, right? You drop the Fear No Evil and the BaRRaCCuDDa ultimate, and then you just turn and run away, and BaRRaCCuDDa hits 3. And see if it's enough. You're probably not gonna kill anybody, but you might bring them low enough to where the Fire Giant isn't the right call.
Then the problem is you don't have Fear No Evil, and if I'm like, that's the only thing that was holding off Randozos last time is the fact that Fear No Evil was up, and they had already burned their engage, right? PolarBearMike is really the only true engage in Blink ults, right?
Yep.
But outside of that, right, Whalrus can jump forward, Skeeledon can as well. He's built a little bit tanky here in this matchup, but they don't have like a taunt or a Geb knockup or Cataclysm or anything like a Bacchus Belch or Belly Flop. They don't have these Guardian engage tools.
Very, very, very true. So Luminosity saving all their tools for this Phoenix defense. And this time, that Isis ultimate placed much better. The return fire is strong. Suns and rain coming down underneath the Phoenix, but it's already taken out. Shells popped right after the no escape. Well played, and it might just save the life of Snoopy. More importantly, the JeffHindla ultimate will. But there's Whalrus over the top, waiting for the revive to run its course, and gets the kill. Fear No Evil will turn things around, but it's off of the left Phoenix, and instead in the base, looking for the deep solo laner, and the left-hand Phoenix falls anyway. 2 birds down. Luminosity are able to find 2 turnaround kills, and they're going to give chase. Sprint popped.
You can see BaRRaCCuDDa surging forward. He's the front line there. Gets the shield. Is going to connect the Chain Lightning as well. That's going to slow 2 players. Blink forward from andinster. Trying to find the last hit. Not going to be enough, though. Needs his jump. Looking for him. There it is. That's the 3rd kill in a row for andinster. And PolarBearMike isolated as well. 3 dead already on the side of Randozos. And this is Luminosity. You can't count them out at any stage in the game. Down 13,000. Down a Fire Giant. They hold the base. And now Randozos are the one getting pressured.
Luminosity, they've got a big window here. Realistically, I don't think they can surge and win, even with Aduro out for over half a minute. I think this is clear. map of objectives. Just go left. We're gonna see the back to prevent the fire minions from causing too much havoc in the base, and that's a smart move. Luminosity intelligently don't go too deep. I think you would have saw a lot of teams go for a Phoenix there.
And Randozos, I think they're a little bit scared sometimes to kind of brawl in those, to fight in those situations. One player gets picked off, and immediately Luminosity surges forward. Randozos, right? It's just like one at a time they die instead of trying to turn around and get a kill, or even like burst damage onto the BaRRaCCuDDa. BaRRaCCuDDa is not tanky.
Which is rough. I mean,
he has no ages. All he has is purification.
How many times has Randozos been up 13,000 gold? I mean, as much as you can get used to playing from behind, you also have to get used to playing from ahead. I always say, don't let your lead play you, but you still got to play that lead. And Randozos, they've got a 5-digit gold lead, and they're really not pushing it, like you said.
And so one of the problems here was, so Luminosity, they could see the Fire Giant. Because of that, andinster gets Deathbringer online. He also started up a little bit of Titan's Bane, and he had some big crits in that fight to finish off Whalrus specifically early on. Then he switches target, takes out Skeeledon, hits a big crit on him. And Randozos, they're going to get this Gold Fury.
Yeah, free 50 free. Nothing really big deal.
But I mean, Luminosity right now, they have this team fighting composition. Randozos, they were all about the early game. They were all about getting that lead for, I wouldn't say free, but as long as they execute properly, they should. And they've executed their early game properly. But now it's team fighting, and it's LG.
And it's Zeus, and it's Ho Yi. This is and it's Hun Batz for what it's worth. Less about the damage and more about the utility. As you get late game, Fear No Evil becomes more valuable, not because it lasts longer, but because the damage your team is able to deal into the targets being CC'd is just much higher. And so as it gets late and late, that just becomes powerful. Luminosity they're ready to fight here. They're ready to fight at 30 minutes. Randozos were ready to fight at 20. So Luminosity, their composition does lead them into a position to take these engagements a little bit more positively.
And Snoopy a little bit caught out here. He has Winged Blade though, so he's fine. And here it is, PolarBearMike looking to force some relics, but Snoopy fighting in the middle 4. He doesn't care. Revive is available for Khepri. He's taking a little bit of poke, finds a stun on PolarBearMike, but in the mid lane, Skeeledon, he's getting chased down and isolated by andinster. One of the best players in the world actually gets turned on, and it's Skeeledon to take that fight. In Luminosity, with their star down, they're backing off.
BaRRaCCuDDa still has ultimate available, so any sort of siege onto the base is going to be rough, and Randozos, again, make the safe play and go for the objective. Fire Giant will be free here. No contest, no Luminosity anywhere near here. In fact, Luminosity going to play it smart and push up the waves. You can see the Phoenix in mid lane just spawned, and I'll be able to say the same thing in just a couple of seconds for the left side. And LG have just pushed the fire minions away to ensure that those Phoenixes will be safe.
24 seconds on andinster. Right now they have the opportunity to push up this Phoenix, but it's actually Skeeledon going and clearing out the mid wave. A little bit surprising, so they don't have that 5v4 man advantage. He's going to be focusing on the Titans that are already weakened. 10 seconds on andinster. Randozos surging forward. Spirit Pole not going to find anyone. Snoopy getting poked out here, but guess what's back up?
No escape. JeffHindla stuck in the Ice Assault. Tries to turn around, but Skeely says no. There's the kill on the backside thanks to Aduro's Isis, and the right Phoenix has fallen. Left and mid Phoenixes are up, but half HP, and andinster makes sure Meerkat is 0 HP. Kill for the jungler that time around. Spirit Ball to zone. Mid Phoenix down and gone.
Stunned. andinster managing to get out there. I believe that was
Discord.
Yeah, Mantle of Discord keeping him alive there, just barely. One Phoenix remains. Aduro fighting Snoopy in the mid lane. Aduro's actually been isolated, but the rest of the team comes to his stead, and Snoopy is going to successfully be able to run out in the jungle.
It wasn't Discord.
I think that was BaRRaCCuDDa stunned him. I'm not sure.
I honestly just
I didn't think he had Discord as well. I saw him building into crit. I think it was a ricochet bounce onto Skeeledon, if I'm not mistaken.
Well played by Luminosity to find the help from the teammates for the stun. That's going to allow someone to live. So 10-9 after that. I mean, you don't call that one a skirmish. That's a full-on fight. 10-9 after that, and a little bit over half an hour. Luminosity find themselves trailing by almost 20,000. I'm not misspeaking here. That's 15K in the lead for Randozos. The Clown Fiesta has really turned up this time around, and these guys look very good in this game. These guys are a pleasure to watch.
The problem right now is their composition,
Right now.
not really translating into late game. They're also full build, which means Luminosity are only closing the gap at this point. Now, they do have control of the Fire Giant, and they should, at least for the next couple spawns, as long as these Fire Minions keep raining down into Luminosity's base. And that's the most worrying thing.
Catch.
Actually, the most worrying thing might be the fact that andinster's getting caught up by himself. Spirit Ball connects. This could be it. BaRRaCCuDDa is here as well, trying to fight into 3. He's surrounded and eliminated.
Where'd he go? Adoro just blows him up with the ultimate. It's a 5-on-3, 50 seconds.
This has to be it. This has to be it. This is Randozos' time to win this game. 2 key targets are already finished.
Huge targets.
You've got 2 Phoenixes down. They're still playing safe. They are not risking it this time. And now JeffHindla actually chained out. Fire Minion starting to rain down the base. Whalrus jumps forward. Fear no evil. The fight on the Titan. 3,000 health. Randozos, they're going to find their first win in the Pro League. And against the struggling Luminosity, they trade out. And they take the win.
The Clowns with a win. Randozos find a win against a very, very, very Hollywood team. When I say that, I mean the spotlight is on this squad. These guys are former world champions. They're considered some of the best players in the world, and Randozos, playing with their name tags off, just go in head first and take them out with a huge bang.
Let's go back to the beginning, though. First blood coming out, and this was actually PolarBearMike getting a little bit caught on a rotation, but a lot of this didn't really matter. You can see Randozos still with the gold lead that actually successfully invaded early on with this very aggro-aggressive composition that was kind of based around, we want to fight early, and they just kept abusing it.
And I mean, that's exactly what you want to do when you have a player like Skeeledon on your squad, struggling a lot, trying to get his wheels underneath him, and in this game it certainly showed. Pick him on the Fenrir. It's going to have some early game dominance coupled with the Isis of the mid lane, but Skeeledon, huge impact in this game, whether it was early game, looking for just these okie-doke kills, or doing this, grabbing it with the big woof, finding the teammates for the combination, and then successfully just able to execute.
And that was a little bit of JeffHindla misplay, honestly, at the start of this fight, and Skeeledon recognizing it. JeffHindla actually burns Purification after he's pulled in by Ares, and then immediately Skeeledon's like, okay, I can recognize this. Turns on him, brings him back to the team, finishes him off. Andinster falls in the meantime, trying to protect him, and then he just finds the kill on the Zeus in the mid lane by himself. And this 1v1.
Yeah, just completely soloed. Andinster just could not handle the dog out of Skeeledon. And then here, I love that play. He knows that the Fear No Evil is going to come out, goes into the B-dubs, knows that he's going to be CC immune, and he's able to take out Andy because of that play. Well done.
Really well played by Skeeledon. And the boys of Randozos, we kind of expected a win to come at some point.
Yeah.
But against Luminosity, it's a real good look.
We've got Whalrus on the horn, one of the recent additions to Randozos, the solo laner. Congratulations on your win. I mean, I usually don't ask this, but how do you feel?
Feels good, man.
Wow, that is the exact response I actually expected from you. I'm going to ask you, before we move into some team-oriented questions, I'm going to ask you a specific question. You have made leaps and bounds and gigantic strides since your last time in the SPL. What's different about current Whalrus and past Whalrus?
A lot of hard work, watching VODs, and honestly, Shadow got me out a lot. Big shout out to him.
Nice.
Okay, Whalrus, now obviously this is the first win for Randozos. You're now the new solo laner on the squad. It's a long stretch to say you'll make DreamHack. I think right now you guys are battling to stay out of relegations. Do you think you can? And do you think you can kind of take games off kind of the upper echelon right now in the standings of North America?
I don't expect much big things out of us, but it's nice to win sometimes and like prove ourselves as players.
Sure.
What's kind of the biggest weakness in the team right now? Obviously, the players are going to know where they're faltering the most. What is it exactly?
We really need like structure and like strategy. Really, we need to like play more as a team and not just a ranked team. You know.
And
not
that
as
was
individuals.
Sorry about that. That
Yeah,
was the
fine.
biggest change for game number 2 for me. You guys looked like such a unit. Game number 1 was rough, but game number 2 you looked like such a big unit. You looked like an actual team playing on the same page. What was the change there? How did that come about? Because we haven't seen that yet.
Honestly, we were like, if we draft normally, they're probably going to beat us, right? So we decided to pick like early game, all that, and we surprisingly pull off the win. Honestly, weren't expecting it.
How do you? I kind of mentioned it, right? Because obviously you weren't a part of that, but maybe you know from the comms, the early game, I think like the gank attempt failed. How do you respond as a player in those situations that you don't really get to practice, where it's like everyone's running around the jungle for the first 2 levels trying to kill each other?
I just kind of prayed in solo and hoped they all went well on right side.
That's what solo
Honestly,
lanes do.
I was like, please don't die, team.
So I want to ask you more on the personal side of things. As far as wins go, right? You can win against a lower seeded team or a higher seeded team, but Luminosity have all the name power in the world. What's it like not only playing against them, but finding a lead and then eventually finding the win against some of the most talked about players in the SPL? Is that different than beating a different team?
It feels pretty good. Like again, like it lets me feel like I'm actually like improving, and like I can like play with the big boys, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
pretty much it.
and
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to say that now. Your performance, both in the losses and the wins, wound up very, very strong. Any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, right here. Shout out to my team, Drelo, Mask, Obi, and the troops overseas.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Expected meme. Got one. Thank you. That's Whalrus,
Yep.
the solo laner for the Randozos. With that win, let's take a look at the North American standings. Luminosity suffer the loss. That'll bring them to 5 losses. And Randozos find their first win of the season. Still no change here. That actually will bring Lumi up to 4th.
This is honestly the end of the first half of the split. Right now, in that DreamHack spot, enemy, Soar, Eager. Not the 3 expected, I think, coming into the split, especially enemy, right? Sitting at number 1, they really have found their stride. And like I said, I think to be one of the best teams in the world, you need to have kind of an all-star, at least someone that you can base your strategies and team around. I don't think that's what enemy is about. They're all about team fighting as a unit, and they've made it work and been one of the only teams to make it work at such a high level.
Exactly. An exciting first half that we've had here. We're heading into the second half of the split. And with that, we're going to take a siesta. 1 week of a bye. And with that, we're actually going to have some fun. Spring Fling will be going on this week. It'll be very exciting. It's we actually have a little bit of fun set up. I'm the captain of a team, and then Hindu Man is the captain of a team. Mine, of course, has a cooler name. It's Epsilon.
I'm so important I got first picked by the pros and bows of Hindu Man.
So that's a reason to root for me. Adanas is on Hindu Man's side.
Easy win. Easy win. Our team is stacked. Our team is actually stacked. We got BaRRaCCuDDa. We got Spiff Sinister, but we're expecting losses on those games. We got some other people as well. We're coming out. We're going to win this one.
I mean, my team's pretty stacked as well. I've invited Moji down. We still have a couple of surprise guests as well. Still haven't divulged all of the information. So it's going to be very exciting. All starts at 1 p.m. You definitely want to catch the action. That'll be right here on twitch.tv/hi-rez TV. So Spring Fling coming up. It's the bye week. Definitely want to take a look towards the future. Maybe make some predictions for yourself as far as who's going to DreamHack or whatnot.
Well, I'm going to DreamHack.
Yeah, I'm going to DreamHack. I can tell you that. But who's going to DreamHack on the teams? I don't know. That's for the SPL to decide. That's going to be it for the Fdot and Adanas Power Hour and your Monday SPL action. We'll catch you next time. For everybody here at the studio, myself, the cameraman, the people outside, and of course, Peckies. Have a great night.